good evening, everyone. Thank you so much again for coming back to this session. I think in the last session or yesterday that we talked about, it was more kind of, trying to take a 30,000 feet view of what entrepreneurship means to different people, what it could mean to you as you go through this sessions yourself, part of it. Okay. So nothing much. I think even today we are going to kind of try and get some thoughts wrapped around this very basic idea that we talk about is what is the genesis of startups. Where do you think that an entrepreneur says, okay, this is now I want to become an entrepreneur, part of it, and that is what we're going to discuss. So is there some magic formula? Is there something that uh, that you can figure out, and is there something that you can learn, is something that we're going to talk about. So there is no formula, let me tell you right at the beginning. So there's no magic formula. Nobody's going to kind of give you an equation and say, okay, fill in all the variables and you have the solution, right, and you're going to be an entrepreneur. It doesn't work that way. Naveen Tiwari is a very exciting founder. I mean, I know him at least last 10, 12 years. InMobi was one of the very early investments at Mumbai Angels over here. And Naveen really pivoted. In fact, Naveen started InMobi even before there were smartphones, right? So he's been that kind of visionary who figured out that the mobile could become a go-to device for a lot of things just beyond telephone calling, part of it. So you should look up InMobi. You should look up Naveen Tiwari, what he does, how is he built. It's a unicorn now, and had a very long and interesting journey, part of it. Antler India is a very interesting startup funder, you can say. They do even pre-seed kind of money. So even if you're at an idea stage, or if they believe in you that you're going to be really making it big, Antler India uh, kind of supports students, part of it. Some of their great investments currently that they have is a company called Cattle Guru and Dimension. You can look them up, find out how you can also connect with Antler India at an appropriate stage, part of it. Okay. So everybody's talking about this thing that India is the next big destination for startups. I personally believe that. I want you to also start believing that this is a great place to be today. If you want to do startup entrepreneurship over here, if you're young, have a lot of energy, think that this is what I should be doing. I think there's no better place than India today. Of course, we have our own challenges, but which country doesn't have, right? So it's not that there's a paradise somewhere out there. I think paradise is a state of mind. One can look at oneself and say, could have been worse. I could have been probably born in a different ecosystem that nobody had heard of entrepreneur. There are hundreds of countries where it's really a challenge to even do business. Forget about starting up something. But India is definitely a great place. So, like I said, today's session is about finding and validating, exciting startup ideas. Now, exciting for whom? Okay, this is a question you should ask. I think you should get excited about, what is that idea. For me, all ideas are great. I never judge an entrepreneur. I never judge a student. I never say someone that, oh, this is an idea that's not going to work, right? So this is like you can't shoot at light bulbs and throw the idea out of the window. Or it will be very cruel on anybody's part to do that, because you look all around you, you'll find that entrepreneurs have built exciting businesses against some of the very, very simplest of ideas. And then you'd start thinking that, wow, wish I could have had the same idea and I could have had, started up on this part. So let's look at it. Let's look at this whole thing in a very holistic way and figure out, is there, how do startups come up with these ideas, and more importantly, coming with an idea I don't think is really a challenge. What is important is to ask this question: will my idea be worth taking up forward? Can I build an enterprise around it? The money, the fame, and all that will follow later. But I think what you need to get is to think the startup at this stage and say, I have this idea, can I take this up in the next stage part of it, right? So at Vadvani Foundation, this is just for anyone and everyone who's joined new. Okay, we are been doing this for 20 years in 18 countries. More than 20,000 people go through our programs annually over here. We have tie-ups with more than 150 partners, whom we call it. There are various universities, there are various other organizations, okay, who work with us in promoting entrepreneurship over here. Okay. So this is what the journey is going to be, kind of a bit of a repeat, because I see some people have joined in today. It's going to be 9 sessions that you and I are going to be interacting with. We are at session 2 over here. Yesterday we have session 1. And just like the visual says, my challenge is to light that fire under your rocket so that, you can reach to outer spaces over here. This is a very standard schedule. I'm sure you'll find this on the community page. These are the dates on which we are going to be talking to each other. Today is 16th. We are at session 2. The next session is going to be on 23rd, immediately followed by a session on 24th over there. Okay, so just block your calendars, 7 to 8 on these dates. So quick recap what we did yesterday. Yesterday we had a quick look at why entrepreneurship is exciting. Okay, why empathy and curiosity is the key, because entrepreneurs need to first identify themselves with someone they're trying to help. And entrepreneurship is all about solving problems, right? It's solving somebody's problems. There have been challenges that somebody was facing, so an entrepreneur comes forward and says, okay, let me solve this in the way that I know. Technology is just one of the enablers. Nobody says, like technology is, it's like, you saying that, I have this tool. Okay, so now let me go and find out where this tool is going to work. It doesn't work that way. You have to first find out what is the work that needs to be done. Okay, if you need to cut a tree down, then obviously a hammer won't work. You need a saw, and then you need to figure out that how sharp the saw should be. Okay, we also talked about what is it that at Vadvani Foundation we are offering. We are offering 3 different levels of programs. You can come back and see for yourself what are those programs out there. We feel that this is the best time, like I said this before. Campus is also a great place. Romesh Vadvani, founder of Vadvani Foundation, also started his first enterprise right on the campus that he was studying at. Okay, so what is it that we are looking at, taking it away from this session today? We will look at something called as a customer-centric iterative approach. Okay, now looks like a very complex word. What is customer-centric? Customer-centric means, obviously, it means that customer is at the center of something. It is iterative in nature. Iterative means you need to keep on doing it again and again to do it. Okay, and this is one way that we will figure out how will we validate these ideas. But even before we go there, part of it, we need to figure out how do we generate ideas. What are those ways that are there? Are various ways that you can generate idea. We are not going to touch upon all of them, but we're going to look at a very, very simple way of idea generation that we talk about over here. Then of course we have some frameworks here that we'll show you over here. We'll also give you those frameworks so that when you have your ideas, these are the frameworks that you can use to kind of put your idea into a proper structured format over there when you want to validate them. Okay, so this is a startup maturity model, very simple, very elementary in its understanding part of it. At level 1, which is what we are today, and level 2, which is where we need to ideate, we need to form some teams. Ideally, I prefer that we have teams. When we come to this discussion on teams, I'm going to re-emphasize on this point. Why is it important to have a team? Please understand, entrepreneurship is a lonely journey. Okay, it could become more lonelier as you go along. It's always good to have team. You need a team for various purposes, but more importantly, you need to have a team that believes in you, that you can work together, part of it. It's a contact sport, right? Entrepreneurship is a contact sport. You need a set of people around you to be able to play this over there. It's not like a solo game. It's not like a game of chess where your own individual talent or your own individual skill matters, right? It's like football. I always say football is a great metaphor for entrepreneurship, because your goals have common, but you need player through whom you can pass the balls at the right time. Okay, create those opportunities and then score those goals out over there. Okay, so this is the 5-stage startup maturity model. It basically means that how do you take your startup from just an idea to launching that startup over here, right? So first you need to kind of get an idea, then you need to do an opportunity analysis. That means, will this idea make sense at this point of time? Is this what the world needs? Okay, is this what I can do to validate this idea? Then the third part comes, which is very, very interesting that you should be thinking about, and we are going to spend some great time discussing. Is it viable? What does viable mean? We are not saying profitability analysis, right? At this moment, why we are not saying profitability? Because viability and profitability are the same. Viability basically means, will you get outputs that are slightly more than your inputs over there? Will you be able to sustain it? Will you be able to make some money out of it, to be able to you know at least in the initial stages stabilize your stuff? Profitability will come later. Profitability will come when you build scale. Profitability will come later when you use tools to drive down costs or increase customer uh, penetration pattern, right? So we'll need to do a viability, and the viability needs to be done before. See, maybe 20 years back, or like when I started entrepreneurship, let's call it whatever, in 1995. Okay, I just got it rolling. I just started something and I said, okay, let me figure out this. Let me just go out and sell, and I'll be able to make money. In fact, today's world, we live in a different ecosystem, right? There is a methodology to it. There is a methodology in which you can create the viability on paper even before you take your first step of trying to build the product. Okay, so we will look at how we can use what is now famously called as the lean startup approach. Okay, lean startup approach is where you start with not the whole product, but you start with something that is a minimum viable product. Do some testing, go out and then build the full solution, and then go out and launch the management. This is slightly contra to what you would have heard about entrepreneurship, that you need to build a great product on day one, and then customers will come and buy it and pay you the kind of money, and you can go laughing all the way to the bank. It doesn't work that way. I mean, gone are those days. Okay, I mean, my best example is always WhatsApp, and I'll tell you how WhatsApp literally turned the whole concept on its head. And by the way, WhatsApp is probably one of the most profitable acquisitions for any entrepreneur in the world. $19 billion is not a small amount of money for a team which is less than 50 numbers part of it, right? And absolutely no revenue, and very, very minimal cost that WhatsApp was built on. So this is the 5-stage model that we are going to talk about. Okay, we are here. Stage 2 is where we're looking at the validation part of it. And once you validate it, I think step 3, 4, 5 needs a very, very focused approach that we are going to talk about in coming sessions over here. Okay, so quick question to all of you, and you can quickly type in your thing, is to where do you think ideas come from? Okay, just it's a very general question. If it has happened to you, just let us know, where do you think ideas come from? Please type in your answers, and if I can't see them, Vinayak will help me get it done.
So can you see the answers? Because Saurabh Jan has
No,
already written surroundings.
no, Vinayak, somehow I don't know, this chat becomes funny, and I
All right,
don't get chats
I'll read.
as they happen, and then suddenly all the chats kind of flood. The last one that I'm seeing is at 6:58 p.m. I'm sure a lot of people have written after that.
I'll read the answers for you. So Saurabh Jan
Great.
says you get ideas from surroundings,
Okay, great, Saurabh. Thank you.
and Kshitija Shukla says that you get ideas from reading, observing, and identifying.
Okay, I would underline the word observing. Yes, very important.
And Varun Goel says that you get the ideas from daily problems faced by society.
That's right, Varun.
Ankita says just looking around you, observing white spaces.
Perfect, Ankita. Very good. Very good.
And Subrat says imaginations.
Okay. See, now I got all the chats all at one shot. Okay. So Shubrat says imagination. Yeah, I mean, Kekule's dream we all saw in, while learning chemistry, organic chemistry in school, that he dreamt about the structure of the whatever, some chemical compound. Okay, so yes, imagination is one thing. Okay, sometimes daily problems look around part of it. Sometimes ideas also come from if it has happened to me. It is called as a close to my heart, right? Okay, for example, I know of someone who is looking out today using AR VR technology. They are building certain interventions that will help detect dementia earlier. And when you talk to the founder, you realize that the founders actually been through this with someone very close to them, and that is the time that they got this idea that if we are going through this whole problem of dementia, there's so many people out there. Healthify Me, with the example that we talked about yesterday, came from this wonderful thing. And I'll just take 30 seconds to talk about Tushar Vashisht and his crazy experiment that he did, and that is the time that he got his idea of Healthify Me. Okay, so Tushar Vashisht, like I said yesterday, came back to India, helped develop the Aadhaar card part of it. It was a great thing to come back and be a part of that whole project. And while they were doing the project, they realized that there's so much poverty around that people have very little money on which they survive, right? So they, as an experiment, he and his partner Matthew decided to stay on 100 rupees per day. They said, okay, we will not spend beyond of course staying, renting part of it. They said we will not spend more than 100 rupees on our subsistence every day. Okay, now 100 rupees looks very small when we kind of get on to Swiggy and order food, and here, and we just don't care if it's 500,000 bucks just to get one pizza. But try and imagine thinking that what will happen if I just stay on 100 rupees a day. And they did this as an experiment. They said, let us also try and see how. The problem that they found was when they were trying to stay, I mean, it was like an experiment. Can we survive? Or like most of India survives. 80% of the people have less than whatever $900 a year as as per capita income. Then can we stay at 100 rupees per day and see what works for them? They realized that at 100 rupees per day, the type of food that they could eat was definitely unhealthy. Plus, they couldn't figure out, what really matters most is when we consume food is, do we know what that food does to our body? And that is the time they realize that why does India have this great epidemic of malnutrition, diabetes, or so many other disease that are actually related to food part of it. And that's the time then they realize that can we build something that that makes sense. And Practo also we were talking about, and we are going to all come back to these ideas. So right, everyone is right that ideas do come from observation, looking around, from some imagination, okay, and kind of empathizing sometimes with what is going through in our society around, and then trying to come up with this idea. Okay, so let's quickly take this discussion to the next uh, level. Okay, so when the light bulb goes up, okay, when the light bulb goes up, that's the idea part of it. What happens is it's actually you identified a problem that was worth solving. Now, worth is a word. Worth for whom? Okay, that is a question you should be asking. Kiske liye? I mean, who's going to benefit out of it? In my opinion, it should be worth the entrepreneur's while, right? Entrepreneurs have so many options in life to do so many different things. When they quit everything part of it and get after a problem that they think should be worth solving, That is exactly when the light bulb goes up. And where does this problems worth solving come from? We talked about curiosity and empathy, right? Yesterday. You need to kind of be curious. You need to kind of understand what somebody else is going through and try and understand that this problems is a very interestingly problem and opportunity for an entrepreneur and for somebody else is the same word, right? What others see as problems, entrepreneurs see as opportunities. Okay, so the moment you hear a word problem, you need to figure out that, okay, if this is a problem, this worth solving for me? And if it is worth solving for me, that becomes my entrepreneurial opportunity over here. Okay, so what is the problem that Uber solved? Quick answers, anyone? Uber. Everybody uses Uber, right? I mean, you can use Uber, you can use Ola, whatever, as an example. What was the problem that they have solved? Anyone? Sorry, again, I can't read the chat, so you are my
Of course.
periscope.
So we have an answer yet. It's okay. We have one. It's from Saurav. He says mobility.
Mobility, yeah, but mobility was solved by a motor car long time back, right? So it's not just about mobility. So Uber doesn't is not just a car. What does it solves a particular problem? What is that problem?
Okay. So there are three more answers. One says mobility without ownership of car. The other says on-time rides for passengers.
Okay, on time rides for passenger.
There's
And
convenience, and
okay.
there is liability of owning a car. So it's a lot. A
Yeah,
lot of
so
the
you
answers are
don't
about.
own the car, but yeah, I know what the person is trying to tell. He says you don't own the car, but it's as good as having your own car and just press a button on an app and you have a car, right?
Yes,
But that
and
is not that's
there's
yeah, yeah,
one
go
more.
ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, so there is one more which might be the answer. It's poor transportation infrastructure around us, and
Yes.
existing people can deny their requests.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So all of you are probably partially right in terms of doing it. So Travis Kalanick, who's the founder, how many of you seen? There is this nice, I think, series that um, I forget the name of this, Unplugged or something like that. There is a great series right now on the OTT platform. I think it is on Sony, if I'm not mistaken. It talks about the starting up of Uber part of it. Okay, so you should go and watch it. Very nice, very interestingly done web series that is there. So Uber basically says that it's very inconvenient. So if you're living in a city, it's very inconvenient to find cabs. Cabs are there, but they may refuse the ride. Cabs are there, and you order a cab, and you don't know if the cab is going to arrive on a time or not. You can't. You need to be able to book. For example, if you're going tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, then you need to book the cab today, and then wonder the whole night whether the cab guy is going to turn up or not. Right? A lot of uncertainty, anxiety around going about traveling part of it. So what travel should be convenient? Like, just if you had your own car, what would you do? You just kind of take the keys, open the car, get into your car, and drive away, right? So that's convenience. Why can't we have the same convenience for people who don't have a car? And why do I need a car when today I can get something which is as personalized? A driver comes, and so the problem was inconvenience. Okay, and the solution, of course, was why don't I have the ability to just hail a car, just press one button on the mobile, that's it, as simple as that, and the car should be available. More importantly, you also get to know what is the car that is coming, what time will it be reaching you, part of it. You also know roughly about how much is it going to cost you to go from one place to another. Okay, so that is convenience part of it, to a very very simple problem. So Uber didn't do the cab service, they were not the cab service, they just made cab service much more convenient part. Okay, how many of you heard this company Beyond Meat? Anyone's heard it? Any vegans in the group? No? Okay, so veganism is the world's fastest growing, lifestyle that we talk about. Okay, so Beyond Meat basically looks at giving, I mean, humanizing the eating of meat. I mean, that is the part of it, right? So because meat is good, proteins, good for that, good taste, stuff like that. But you feel guilty. You feel that okay, you slaughtered a living being, and you really didn't want to do that. So in a world that is growing to be more and more sensitive to a lot of things around us today, eating meat doesn't sound very good, doesn't sound very healthy. Of course, veganism has its own other benefits for the human body. Okay, there have been people who have reversed their diabetes. My favorite cricketer now, Virat Kohli, is a great ambassador for veganism. Okay, so Beyond Meat basically makes what is called as plant-based products. Okay, so they have burger patties that exactly tastes like meat. Okay, but they're not made out of meat. They're actually made out of plant food over here. Okay, same thing. Practo, very good example that we discussed yesterday. When Shashank first found that his father had trouble, managing patients in his small clinic, he just went ahead and kind of coded the whole thing into a process. Became so good that there are 15,000 people who bought that product. He made a lot of money, and that is where Practo was born. And now, of course, Practo has kind of grown itself to be an app that provides easy access to doctors, healthcare providers, diagnostics, and all. So it's like, just like you can find a cab in your area at the press of a button using an Uber or an Ola, you can go to Practo and find a good consulting doctor, book an appointment, and just show up out over there, just at the convenience of a click of a button. Okay. So your story, amazing. We talked about Shraddha Sharma again yesterday. Entrepreneurs have had a problem, getting their voice across to the larger audience. Your story came in 2008, very interestingly, long time back. Okay, into a site that basically gave a voice to the entrepreneurs. Okay, so today is one of the most sought after publication. If you're a startup, if you want to kind of let people know what your story is about, so yours, there is no better platform than your story. Okay, so basically what we talked about is these are smaller problems, right? Not finding a cab, not finding the right kind of a doctor, feeling guilty about eating meat. Okay, how can I publish my entrepreneurial story? They're very small problems, but they definitely are annoying. And who are they annoying for? Maybe I don't know if Shashank would have been annoyed by the fact that he can't hail a cab in Bangalore. Let us assume that that's where he is. So he would have probably also felt that, oh, I can't hail a cab, but that was not annoying enough for him, or that was not a problem worth solving, right? I'm sure Travis Kalanick, I don't know about him, but so I believe that maybe veganism is not something that really excites him. So maybe he found a problem of cabs more annoying than the problem of eating meat. Okay, so this is what I was talking about, problems worth solving. Is it worthwhile for you to solve these problems? Okay. And look at those problems. It could be anything. I mean, there's nothing that says that. So is this a common problem now that we see everywhere in India? How many of you just raise your hands or give me a shout and say, yes, this is a problem we find everywhere in India? So do we have raise hands feature here in this?
We do not have
There
raise
is.
hands feature here, but there is an emoji which everyone can use
Ah,
to raise their hand, similar to
I'm
what
just
Chetan has done.
okay. Right. Yeah. So let me also use this emoji and kind of say, okay, yes, this is definitely a problem, right? I mean, especially if you're staying in a city like Mumbai, where I am from, okay, this and rainy seasons, this is definitely a problem out there. But what is the solution? I mean, I can't go about and crib myself and say, yeah, potholes, what can I do? I have this very fancy car. I paid so much money. I paid my roads. So, I can't just go and tweet about it and, express my anguish, right? I mean, that is what most people do. I mean, they Twitter. Yesterday you were asking me, whether I'd like to be the CEO of Twitter. I think Twitter is more like a crybaby kind of a thing that, anything you going to get upset or anyone you want to insult, you can just go onto Twitter and just kind of put it out there. I mean, I'm not a great Twitter user, so probably that is one of the reasons that I can't empathize with that as a business over here. So now tell me, this is a quick exercise. Everyone has to do. Take out your pen, paper, whatever you want to do. You have to give us, okay, what do you think? And you can, just open up your mind, think about anything crazy, okay, anything crazy that you think will solve this problem. And what is the problem? Potted roads in India, and you need to travel. So obviously, it's going to be damaging the cab. It's going to be, risky if you're a two-wheeler driver. There have been so many tragedies because of potholed roads, especially with two-wheeler drivers. Of course, the cars get damaged. Okay, backs are broken. Okay, and there's nothing else that you can do except do it. But not if you're an entrepreneur. So if you're an entrepreneur, just put on your entrepreneurial cap that you have, the imaginary cap that you want to wear as an entrepreneur. Say, if I'm an entrepreneur, if this is the problem, how am I going to be able to solve it? So you have, I don't know, probably 1 minute to think about any crazy solution that you want to talk about. So let's go. Let's take a go at it. Okay, so again, come up with some crazy ideas. Why I'm saying crazy? Because this is what entrepreneurs do. They come up with crazy solutions and they say, wow, what a great about it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can make an Iron Man suit. I mean, if I were to think about the craziest idea is develop an Iron Man suit so that you don't never need to use a car, you never need to use the road at any point of time. And that is the one way of solving this whole problem. So I've given you an extreme thing. It's not so extreme if you really look at it. If somebody can really develop an Iron Man suit, at a reasonable price, I'm sure that is one of the solutions that we talk about. So, okay, start your thinking very fast and don't think what somebody else is saying. Just tell us your solution to this particular problem. So Vinayak, you'll have to keep a tab on,
Yes, sir. I'm
people
looking
are
at the
right.
chat. Subrat is writing building Daru Wala, a platform which will provide quick, affordable, quality beer as a solution.
Okay, who else? I don't know what it is, but I'm sure Shubrat, you know, is using his imagination to solve this problem.
Kriti has written, is that written in the influence of beer?
Sorry?
Someone replied to that, was that written in the influence of alcohol?
Oh, it's too early in the evening for that, and that on a Thursday.
Okay, so Nipin has written a big answer. So he's written there are two ways to go about this. The first is to repair roads by creating some innovative and quick way of repairing without a lot of government indulgence. And the second is to
Okay.
develop wheels which do not care about potholes.
All right. Great. Okay. So change the whatever the design of the vehicle so that it doesn't get bothered. Use bitumen or use today there are a lot of startups that are using discarded plastic bottles and converting that into combining it with bitumen solutions and making tar roads that will last much longer than the normal roads part of it. Yes, but these are obviously, I mean, these are very straightforward, straight thinking. I was looking at some very crazy solutions, like the one that I thought of, designing an Iron Man suit so that you don't need a car.
Yes, sir. Like when my teacher asked me this question in my first year, I answered, "Let's make a flying car."
Okay, flying
So
car. Why? Wonderful. Okay, can you also think that, why don't we eliminate the need to travel? Okay, make technology so omnipresent that, nobody ever needs to move out of their house. So there'll be no question of going out, there'll be no question of roads. So probably Zoom or, Teams is also one solution, one of the solution. I'm not saying the solution, but one of the solutions that, work from home, use Zoom, use Google Meet, use Teams, whatever you want to use. Okay, stay at home, don't go out, and that is one of the solutions that you're looking at, right? Okay, so good. So what are we saying out over here? We are saying that there are so many ways by which you can solve this particular problem, right? One very simple is build roads that will never have potholes, right? That's the most linear thinking solution. Or build a car that flies, or build a car with better suspensions, or a driverless car, so that you don't need to drive it. You can sit at the back and relax, where somebody else drives the car out over here. Iron Man suit, so you don't need to use a car at all, you can just fly from one place to another over here. Develop a technology solution where you have a 3D version. Like, for example, instead of you and me talking on this phone, we could have had a 3D version avatar of all of us, projected into an AR VR kind of a platform that would have eliminated the need for either all of us to travel to this particular location, right? So what is it that we did over here? What did we kind of do? Anybody knows what this process is all about thinking divergent, thinking, different? What is, I mean, there is a name for this process. Most of us would have used it at some point of time. There's a small hint, if you read the slide before. There's a small hint written on the slide, uh, that is there. So what is this process called as, the most simplest term? Anybody?
there are a couple of answers. One is brainstorming,
Okay.
and the
Who's
other is
that?
idea. That's Nipin.
Okay, Vipin.
And
Amazing.
Varun
Okay.
answers ideation.
Yeah, ideation, brainstorming, brain. See, now just imagine that if you had a team, and you had a team of people who were equally annoyed by, the same problem of a potted hole. We are using a very simplistic example over here. Okay. Why we use simple examples? Because it should appeal to everyone. So let's assume that you had a team, that you had, and all of you were equally annoyed by the same problem part of it. What would you do? You'd say, come, let us all sit together, maybe order a beer, I don't know. You have to be above the age of 21, I think, nowadays, to have beer. But you'd say, okay, let's not have beer, let's have chai. Let's just sit somewhere and kind of look, how can we solve this particular problem out over here? Okay, so this is brainstorming. Okay, a very powerful technique, very simple but very powerful technique that one can use for generating various ideas that you want to do about part of it. Okay, but there are certain rules to it. One is you cannot kill ideas. You can't get into a discussion and say, okay, arey ye to nahi chalega, or this will not work, or somebody has already tried it, I know an uncle who did it and failed. Don't shoot the ideas. Just go around the whole circle. If there are five of you, sit around in a circle. One person just sits and writes down the solution. Just generate as many solutions as possible. Don't judge, don't try to evaluate, don't do that. Just write down all the solutions that you think are going to work out over here to solve this particular problem. And this is what the first way of generating ideas, generating probably sustainable ideas. Will all the solutions work? Don't know. Will all the solutions not work? That also don't know. There are techniques for doing that. Okay, and we'll come down to those techniques. Right now, what we need is, do we have that idea? Do we have something in our mind that we think is going to be able to solve this problem? Okay. Once you have wrote down this problem and identified this problem, what you need to do is, and this is a template that we are going to be using in our session today, it's called the problem statement canvas. Okay, what is a problem statement canvas? It's very, very simple. It's like any canvas that it looks over here. Okay, it basically tells you what is the problem. Okay, now I'm just giving you an example. Okay, the simple problem that I think if you are a parent, your parent would face, or I mean, sorry, if you are a parent, you would face. If you're not a parent, your parents have faced this particular problem. Is what is the problem? Is that children are not learning, parents are worried. What does it happen? Problem is, disengaged. School is not interested. School is only interested in charging fees and taking money out of your parents' profit. It's the children that is going to win. So, what is the context for this? Is that there's so much hyper competitiveness out there, part of it, there's too much of studies out of there. Okay, and this is the context in which parents are today worrying, okay, what happens in this intense competition if my child is not going to be engaged in the learning process, and if the school is just not going to care about it, what is it that is going to happen? And what are the root causes for this? Why do you think this anxiety comes in the parent's mind? Because the parent knows that the schools and the teachers are today not well prepared. Teachers are only insisting on rote learning over here. They have been themselves students. They know how they went to school and just mindlessly learnt the table of 17. Okay, and which they knew they would never be using in their whole life over here. But just because there was a teacher, and the teacher had a cane in his or her hand and made you learn the table of 17, okay, so these are the three things that basically lead to the problem. Okay, there's a context to it. Okay, what is the context is, what and where does this problem occur? Okay, that is an important context. First is, what is the problem? Second is, where does this problem occur? Why is this problem? And root causes are, what are the main reasons for this problem to exist? Okay, so the best way to do the problem statement canvas is, download the template that we will give you. Okay, use post-it pads, okay, to write, because if you are going to doing this in your team over here, a lot of people, for example, the root causes can, lot of people will say, okay, no, this is not the root cause, that is the root cause. Fair enough. We are kind of not shooting down any of the things over here. We're trying to address the problem in a more systematic way. Just saying that, okay, it's spotted hole and it's a problem, we're trying to break down that problem. We're saying that, okay, this is the problem, this is the context in which this is the problem, and these are the root causes for this problem. Next phase, what you need to find out is, who are the people that will pay to get this problem solved. Okay, who are the people who are experiencing this as a problem? Will they pay or not? How much will they pay? We'll come down to it later. But these are the people. Okay, what are they doing? They are currently doing something out of it, right? So whether it is spotted hole, maybe they are taking a different road, or maybe like somebody said, maybe they are taking a car with better tires over there. They're currently solving this problem, not in the ideal way, but they're trying to currently solve this problem. And most importantly, what is it that I feel about this problem? What is my alignment? Do I think that this is a problem worth solving? Do I really want to get this problem solved? What happens when you use the problem statement canvas is, you are now able to visualize the problem and tell it to your team. Look, just saying that it is a potted hole, or just saying that school education is bad, is not really helping us solve this problem. We need to kind of contextualize this in the right sense and put it out over here. Okay, so this is a problem statement canvas, one of the ways of kind of analyzing the problem and putting it in the problem. Now comes this great thing, that's, so how do you identify who the user of this particular problem is? Okay, so let us do a quick sanity check on how do we identify users over here. Okay, and let's come down to Byju's. Okay, who do you think is the Byju's as a solution, right? Byju's as a solution. Who do you think would buy the Byju's product, or whatever Byju's is selling? Who's it that is going to buy over here? Quick answers. Byju's. who's facing the problem, but who's going to be paying to get that problem solved? Everybody knows Byju's, right? I mean, now they are also sponsors of the Indian cricket team, I think.
So we have a few answers.
Mhm.
So it's parents of children, upper middle class parents, and parents. These answers are by Ankita, Subrat, and Varun, respectively.
Ankita, thanks. Subrat, thanks. Varun, thanks. Superb. Right. You're absolutely right. So here, probably the beneficiary is the student, but the guy who's going to pay for this or somebody who's going to pay for this is the parent over here. Okay. Another simpler example that, I want to kind of bring in over here is, what is this? This is pedigree, right? This is dog food. So typically, it's a nutrition meal for the dog, which is a pet, but the ideal person who's going to pay for it is the person who owns the pet owner. So here what I'm trying to tell you is that when you're trying to solve a problem, please understand that it is not always the person who faces the problem is going to pay for it. Okay. So there's this classic difference between what is called as the consumer and what is called as the customer. So in Byju's, the consumer is the student, the customer is the parent. In Pedigree, the consumer is the dog or the pet, and the customer is the pet owner over here. Okay. So make sense? Okay. So we need to be able to potentially identify users. Who is it that is actually going to dip into the wallet, take out the money, and going to pay for it, right? So there is this, very classic thing that you may hear about in entrepreneurship is, what is it that you are selling? Okay, what is it that you are selling? Okay, because finally the real value is of an idea is in its execution, right? So what is it that the solution that is going to do part of it? Is it a painkiller or a vitamin? Okay, what's the basic difference between painkiller and a vitamin does? Anybody wants to talk about why do we say that we need painkillers and why do we need when we say we need vitamins? A very very classic, interesting way of trying to understand what your solution is. Is it a painkiller or is it a vitamin? Because both are medicines. Both look like pills at a certain point of time, but one does a different work. One does a different work. So what is it that your solution is? The answer is very clear. If you're into the vitamin business, then you're making sure that there is you may not need a painkiller going forward part of it. So you're trying to preempt the problem and trying to solve it before, right? And that is what probably Byju's does. It says we are vitamins. Why it is vitamins? To a certain extent, because we are enabling your child to do better in life so that your child doesn't fail. And what is a painkiller in that case? Probably coaching classes, those home coaching classes where there is a teacher that comes in at the last moment and tries to save your year by making you mug the whole thing last part of it, right? So there are two ways one can look at a problem. Can I do something so that probably the target customer will not face a problem going forward into the future, or should I be doing something that the target customer is currently facing it and he's willing to give anything and everything to get the solution done? Okay, just an interesting way. Nothing, you don't need to kind of lose sleep over it as to whether I'm a painkiller or I'm going to be a vitamin kind of a thing. I just want in your mind to start thinking about how the solution, why is it important? That's also will come down to it when we figure out the viability part of it. Okay, because you pay something different for a vitamin and you pay something different for, so like if you're going to get, it's like insurance, right? I really don't know whether I'm going to be kind of suffering the kind of things that here I'm very skeptical about it, but it's like a vitamin at the end of the day. I don't know if the tomorrow if I something happens to me, I don't know what would happen to my family over here, so I'm going to be saying that I'm selling you a vitamin. There's a painkiller is right now, that means I have a health related problem, I'm going to pay anything and everything just to get better over there. Okay, so in the Google also has the same case with customer and things. For you it is very free, you feel that you're using Google, but somebody else is paying Google to make sure that you are using it. Is there advertisers over there, or if the people who use the data that you are generating out, and Google, they are paying Google to get your and my data. So the three important question is, will there be somebody else who uses our product services? Will there be somebody else who's going to pay for this? And what are their basic? Why is it that they are going to do this? Why are they going to paying us for this part of it, right? So a classic solution, a very classic solution that you talk about, or a very great idea that you talk about, or a great solution that you talk about, lies at the center of these four important things. Okay, what is the important thing part of it? Is there a desirability? Is there a customer who's really wanting this particular uh, you know uh, particular problem that needs to be solved? Is it feasible? I mean, is there a solution that exists today that can solve this particular problem? If I use that particular solution, does it make viable for me to be able to solve that particular problem? And more importantly, is there a compatibility between me and what my customer wants? Okay, so all the four needs to come together, and right at the center you will find that that is the sweet spot that you are. Look at electric vehicles. Okay, today desirability is there. Yes, petrol prices are high. And they're going to be higher. They're not going to come back to 50 rupees now, right? And they already crossed 100. So that is a desirable that I need something. Feasibility is also there. So people have designed. Ola has come up with a scooter, with an EV scooter over there. Viability, yes, viability is there, but there is this big issue as to whether I will be able to charge my vehicle at an appropriate distance. So that question is always going to be a big question mark when somebody wants to buy an e-vehicle. Compatibility, yes. I mean, if I feel great about the environment, if I think that I need to really save the planet, and the way to save the planet is to go green, then probably I am the right entrepreneur to do this part. Okay, so this is the desirability, as I said, is what the customer needs. Feasibility is that there is a science, there is a technology that will help us solve this problem. Viability is that it's not going to be financially ruining if we develop this particular product. Okay, we're going to make some money out of it, part of it. And compatibility is obviously the whole team is motivated about it. So when all these four things come together, you should believe that the idea, right? So let me take you back to that potted hole example. Okay, so in that potted hole part of it, you have, when you do that problem statement canvas over here, you need to figure out, have we identified what are the customer needs? Do we have the service and technology that help us solve this particular problem? Can we make some money while doing this, right? The viability has to be there. And most importantly, do we have the right team who's going to do it? If the answer to all this four is great, then you have found out the perfect solution over here. And who tells you if the solution is perfect or not? You need to constantly go back to your customer. This process is a process called as design thinking. You can go and see, it's a very classic way of developing the product. Remember that 5 stages of startup evolution that we talked about, in which we said that we have to check the viability before we even go out and uh, build a product. This is exactly what this. If it's a problem worth solving, come up with a solution, go and talk to your potential customer, take feedback from the customer, come back and redefine the problem, again come up with a new solution over here, and then again go back. So it's a very iterative process. Remember, I use the word customer centric iterative process that we are going to learn today. And this is what it is, called as design thinking. You can go and look it up. There's so many. It's a Stanford way of design thinking. There's a whole lot of literature out there that so coming back to this, are your problems worth solving? Let us look at those 4 or 5, 6 quick questions that we need to answer when we're looking at. First, who's the real person that is having the problem? Can I go and talk to him or her and ask? So we are going to give you a questionnaire format, how to conduct customer surveys, and that's going to be part of the kit that we are going to do after this particular session. Okay. Empathize with it, learn how to ask those questions. It's not like, you go and say, okay, tell me, is this a problem you're facing? I think that's very silly, because people are never going to open up to a stranger and tell them that they're facing a certain problem over there. There has to be a certain way in which you can elicit responses from your customer, and that's a template that we are going to share out there. Okay, of trying to get a potential customer to talk about it. Okay, and document this whole thing for the customer persona that you're talking. Okay, so just like we split the idea and put it up on a template saying that, okay, this is a problem statement canvas, we can take the customer profile, because that is very important for us, right? I mean, we can't just go and talk. Somebody very rightly said that a Byju's customer is not parents. Somebody said is the upper middle class parents, right? Because they are the people who have the money, the means, the interest, the technology, because Byju's is all computer. So you need to have somebody who can buy you a computer, somebody who can pay the high fees that Byju's is charging. Okay. So upper middle class, right? So you kind of cut the parent as a segment and say, okay, not all parents, but definitely somebody who's at the upper middle class is really the target market, right? So you're kind of trying to understand your customer. So there is another template that we want you to use. Okay, and this is called as the no template. Okay, no template. Why no? Because there are four things that you want to know about your customer. Is what are the key attributes? That means what are the demographics and psychographics of my customer? Demographics basically means age, gender, financial income, okay, location where they are part of it. So basically knowing where your customer is going to be. Psychographics is basically the behavioral attitude. It's what really makes them buy. Okay, and sometimes it is fear, like in the case of insurance. Sometimes it's fun element, sometimes it is the premium element, like when you go and buy an Apple product, you're the attribute over here is the premiumness of the product, right? There are some people who really want to buy. There you may see those people in and around you, that they always buy high end cars, or they buy high end perfumes for that matter, and they probably even book those box seats in a multiplex theater, and they don't want to be kind of seen with the regular janta kind of a people. So that is psychographics. The premiumness of anything drives them. Some people are motivated by free, so you see a lot of people would want to go shopping. For example, I have always gone and shopped for my shirt whenever I see something like buy two get one free. Okay, so that drives me and say, okay, yeah, let's save some money now, let me go and buy this. Because so there are various psychographic drivers that are the attributes of your particular customer. More importantly, your customer has what is called as the needs and the wants. What are the needs? Needs are something that that your product should solve right now over here. Okay, that is the most important. For example, in the case of Uber, okay, the car should come. Once you press the button, it doesn't matter what the technology you're using. At the end of the day, the car should come there on time. And what are the wants? Needs are something which are very, very important. Wants are desirable things. It's something that good. So when you see an Uber car actually move on your screen, that is an amazing thing, because it now gives me a confidence that my car is really coming, and it also tells me what time the car is going to be coming out over here. So those are my wants. But my need is my car should come at the time that they have promised me. Want is good. I can see my car. And what are the obstacles? There will always be some obstacles that will prevent me from getting those needs. For example, I may not have a smartphone, mobile phone. Okay, so I cannot definitely. I mean, I have the needs, I have the wants, but my obstacles is probably I don't have a smartphone, or I'm an old person, I can't use a smartphone. Like I don't know how to use a smartphone out over here. I may have certain problems that the place that I stay doesn't have great internet connection, so obviously I will not be able to use this part. So these are some of the obstacles and options that are there. So the no format that we talk about basically helps you, define your customer in a much better way over here. So this again template has been made a part of this things. Okay, so this is again typically the same example that we use, mother of a child in a class of 6 to 12. Okay, and what is the problem that she's facing is that she wants her kids to develop holistically as a student over. It's a small example, nothing great that we need to go dive deeper into it over here. Okay, so this brings us to the end of today's session. We quickly touched upon this concept that we have. All of this is available on the community page that you have over here. So you'll see this, this on your screen when you log in over here. Okay, so this is the page, community.wfglobal.org out over here, and you will see this as session 2, discovering the entrepreneurial leader in you. This is what is the name of the session over here, and this is where you'll find all those templates that I talked about, all that questionnaire that I talked about of how to conduct a customer interview. It's all out over here. Okay, so quick recap of what we did of today's discussion is that don't go with a solution. Okay, because the moment you go with a solution and say I'm going to code this particular problem, then everything will look like it's like if you have a hammer, so you think that everything is just a nail and you start beating it with a hammer. So don't go with that hammer kind of an approach. Go with what is needed out of it. Okay, ideas are everywhere. We saw that potted holes is an idea, students not engaged in a classroom is an idea, not being able to find a doctor is an idea. But all these ideas will come out if you get out of the building. Why getting out of the building is important? You can't be sitting on a computer, and as Shubhrat very said, imagination, yes, even imagination is good, Shubhrat, but at the end of the day you also need to go out and check it for yourself. You can't just think about a problem and say I'm going to be able to solve this over there. Okay, painkillers is better because people obviously pay a lot more for a painkiller than they actually pay for a vitamin over there. Most importantly is don't try to over engineer stuff. Don't try to make that one big solution that is going to solve all the problems. It doesn't work that way. You'll need to start with a very, very simple solution. That Byju's was not built in one day, right? Byju's started by making those small online. Baiju Ravindran himself used to come online and create those small YouTube videos on how to solve particular problems of maths for class 8, class 9, class 10. Okay, and that is how. So if there is another amazing example, like Byju's is of course a for-profit, multi-billion dollar. There is something called as the Khan Academy. If you're not known about Khan Academy, I think it's a right time to probably also go and check out what Khan Academy does. Khan Academy does exactly what Byju's does, but it's absolutely free for the beneficiaries. So they have some amazing content that you can go out and learn on various topics. Whether you are a school going student or whether you are a college going student, they have some amazing content, and the way those contents have been done is amazing, is because it's more or less free to the community. So two different approaches to solve the same problem, Khan Academy and Byju's. You can't fault one with another, but this is what the world is all about. Okay, so Vinayak, now up to you. 5 minutes. We are already 3 minutes above our scheduled 1 hour interaction, but I think 5 minutes is good enough. If there's any questions that
Yes,
anybody wants to ask.
so I guess we can have an Ask Me Anything now for the next 5 minutes, where anyone can ask any question. Of course, we had a much more knowledge-packed session today compared to yesterday, and I have to mention alongside Khan Academy, there is one more for-profit where you can learn. It's called the Vadhwani Foundation. So
Right.
keep connecting to our community, everyone. But anyways, for the next 5 minutes, you can ask us any question. You can ask her any question you have from the session about entrepreneurship in general. Several people are typing. And all right. Okay, no. Till the time people are... Okay, so there is one question. So what problem do you think fantasy gaming app like Dream 11 try to solve?
Amazing, right? I mean, what is the problem? The problem is the same thing that, I don't want to go out, in a current generation sitting at home. I still want to play with friends. I want to kind of, be a part of a community, right? So today, if you really look at it, the more, the technology that you have, the more social connecting sites that you have, the more lonelier you have become, right? I mean, today you can see for yourself. You just go out in any metro, or you just go out in a park and see how many people are really going out and enjoying, life around them. Everybody is kind of huddled on their phone. You go and watch in a restaurant. There are four people, father, mother, son, and daughter. All four are on their mobile phones. They're not even kind of having this particular conversation, right? So fantasy gaming is good because that is what it is: fantasy and gaming. Gaming basically helps a lot of it, stimulates a particular part of your brain which makes you competitive, which makes it's kind of a competition, and at the same time it gives you the thrill of win. You can, in a virtual world, you can actually go. I don't know how many of you play that, what is that game, combat game that
Call of
everyone
Duty,
plays, Call of Duty, and what's the other one?
Counter Strike, I guess, or PUBG.
Counter Strike, CS, yeah, Counter Strike,
Um,
right? So Counter Strike is a game. You feel good. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's evil, probably shooting down someone and killing in real life, but at least good that kind of venting out your stuff like that. So fantasy gaming is good. Of course, like any good thing, please understand. Any good thing, there will always be a bad side to it. So I don't know how many of you remember this game called as Pokemon Go that just came in and stormed, the whole world. And like within 15 days, I think every kid with a mobile phone was using Pokemon Go. And then you had some serious tragedies going on, and then it frittered away also. So it's not that it stayed up for a long. How do you see the future of D2C startups? What does D2C startups mean?
D2C, direct to
Direct
consumer.
Yeah, direct to consumer is what's called as the internet first brands, right? And today, a lot of this business has disintermediated the channels that we talk about, right? So today, you don't need to go through a channel. For example, education, right? Today, education has got revolutionized, right? Today, you really technically, I mean, I'm just saying that if it was not for the certification part of it, or even not for the social integration that schools offer, today, I think if you look at Khan Academy, or even for that matter Byju's, gives you knowledge right where you are. Okay, so direct to consumers is a great internet. One of the reasons internet became such an omnipotent, omnipresent thing is because it could cut through all channels, right? And you could go directly to the consumer. So I believe it's a great future, Shubha.
Okay, so we can have a couple more questions, I guess. Then we'll have a time stop at 8:10. So,
Sure.
I'll ask a question till then, sir. So one important thing which you, uh, Kshitish says, what do you think about Subrat's idea? What is Subrat's idea, Kshitish? Can you please mention it? One question I had was, you talked about how it should be worthwhile for entrepreneurs' time to solve that problem. So how does entrepreneur find out what's worthwhile for himself?
Yeah, something that so I always tell, and this in a very I mean, take it in the right spirit, that I always tell people, especially young people, that getting passionate about entrepreneurship is the same thing as falling in love. Okay, like just like when you're falling in love, time stops. You give up everything else just to focus on that thing, and you kind of get completely submerged, immersed, whatever you want to call it, part of it, right? Money will come later, okay? If it doesn't hold your attention, if it doesn't hold you don't feel like getting up in the morning, and the first thing thought that comes to it, okay, let me kind of go back to this problem that we are trying to solve. Till that involvement happens, believe me, it is just a passing fad. Entrepreneurship is fashionable nowadays. Okay, I mean, it's good to say that you are a part of a startup. Even 10 years back, you didn't kind of really go out and tell that you're a part of a startup. But I think today parents are very proudly saying that my kid is wanting to do a startup. So it is fashionable, no doubt about it. But honestly, I don't care too much for fashion. Okay, I care for the fact that if this really keeps you awake at night, is this something that we say, what keeps you awake at night? That's the first question we ask entrepreneurs, right? I mean, it's not the bed bugs, or it is not the bad air conditioning, or it is not the the food that you ate that keeps you up at night. If it's this idea that's constantly not letting you sleep, constantly making you feel that I need to do something about it, that is the time that you think that you are ready for entrepreneurship.
Okay, okay. So
Okay,
we'll
Ankita,
have
how
one
should one
last
approach
question, sir.
India, which is outside one education working discipline? Wonderful. Ankita, you may not. For example, I started a software company. I have a computer engineering background, and I am not ashamed to tell you that I can't write one line of code. Okay. So obviously, I could understand computers. I could appreciate what software is, but believe me, I couldn't. It's like, I can understand food, I can do this, but I can't go into a kitchen and, make an omelette for myself. I mean, technically, it's the other way around. I can do a lot of stuff in the kitchen, but I couldn't write one line of code. So, how did I go about doing it? I found people who could complement my skills over here. Okay, so that is one way to do it. Don't let education or don't let skills come into background. Once you're passionate about it, believe me, like that it says, no, that statement that the whole world will conspire, the whole universe will conspire to get it done for you. So you'll find people who are passionate enough, who will come along with you and do this. Do you think a solo founder of SaaS needs to know how to code? I wouldn't really, do that part of it. Yeah, SaaS needs a certain amount of, not amount of coding. Believe me, with chat gpt and what chat gpt can do and all those things, I think coding is just going to become irrelevant over here. Okay, just going to be irrelevant. You don't need to kind of open line code and stuff. You need to find out a solution that will do. GitHub has revolutionized coding to a large extent. Today I don't think people hire somebody because they have great coding skills. I think you get hired more if you are more solution oriented. It doesn't matter, you go to GitHub, pick up something over there, hash up a solution over there. As long as it works, as long as it works fine, it is great.
All right. So I guess, sir, maybe that's it for today because it's already 8:12. Or do you want to
Okay,
take one
so
more
again,
question?
this is exactly the opposite of what we are trying to tell you over here. That using technology, creating an MVP is not going to cost you money. Okay, believe me, when we talk about this particular topic, I'm going to tell you how to test drive your idea. Okay, once you have this idea, right now we are still at an idea and validation stage. You pass this stage and say, okay, this is my idea. I have validated it. There is a need for it. I will tell you how you can test drive your solution on paper without spending a single buck.
Okay. So I guess that's it for today's class. There are a few more questions which people ask. Saurabh has
Vinayak,
asked a
I'd be
question.
needing 5-10 minutes of this participant because a lot of students have joined today for their first session. So
All
I'd like
right.
to take them for
All right.
a walkthrough. So you complete it,
That's
then
great. So,
I'll take over.
all right. All right. Thank you. Sir, you had a time check of 8:15. So,
Yeah,
Yes,
I
yes.
think if you guys don't mind and excuse me today because I just have a 15-minute session and then I have
Sure,
a
Raj.
physical class we're going to talk about. Okay, so I'll be
all right.
submitting.
So, thank you very much, sir. So, I have to say today's class was amazing, and especially the fact that I've spent 4 years working very hard and burning the midnight oil to learn how to code. And now, when I'm graduating, everybody's saying coding is irrelevant. So,
Sorry to break your heart. Sorry to break your heart.
uh,
But then that is what life is all about, right? Okay.
okay.
Good.
But anyways, thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
And
Well, now see you, I think, on 23rd. Please be there. Take this time that you have in between to really think about an idea. We'll start with, what you have, discovered for yourself, and then really take it up to the next level. Okay. Thank you so much. Love you all. Take care. Bye bye.
all right, thank you. We'll take the questions which were left next week. Thank you very much. And Sudhanshu, you can take the lead now.
Yes, Vinayak. Hello, good evening, everyone. Good to see the active participation from so many participants. So I'm just pasting a link of the journal section. So I would suggest you guys to open this link in a separate tab and let me share my screen as well. So I hope you guys are able to see my screen. So click on the link which I have shared with you on a separate, open it in a different tab. It will take you to the My Journal section. You'll see the session 2 along with the date. So it suggests you guys to click on the journal question 1. Just click on it. So my system's taking a bit time. Those who have clicked on the link, you must be able to see the question.
Yeah, it's taking time to load a little bit.
Yes. So meanwhile, participants who are able to see the question, you simply have to click on one of the options. Let me click on the journal question 2, I believe some issue. Yes, guys. So the question 1 was taking a bit of time. So those who have already opened the question 1, please select your option. Once you're done from your question 1, just go to the question 2, which says, which risk, example, financials, are you unwilling to take? Bonus point for adding your insight in the comments below. So you have to select the best option which you think is. And then you can give your additional insights by sharing your thoughts in the comment section. To quickly answer these 2 questions. Then after that, you'll find another thing here which says, please also provide your feedback for today's session by submitting this feedback poll. So you have to click on this link. And you have to select all these options. These are the 5 options. I would request each of you to select these options. It will help us in improving the session content quality for you for the upcoming sessions. So once you are done, I would suggest you guys to go to the community section. So here I'm going to talk about a little about the available features of this particular platform, because apart from live streaming, there's a lot more here. So you'll see all your current feeds here. There are so many posts here which you can. I would request you to be part of these polls. Answer these questions. These are the recent polls which are posted by us. You can share your thought. You can see the last session's recording here. So the stuff like that will be in front of you. So we keep on posting amazing stuff on this community feed. So you can go through it. So once you're done from here, you can go to the My Journal section. So not My Journal section. This is My Resources. So you have to go to the More section. You'll see My Journal. So you can see all these sessions here. So right now these 2 sessions are. I'll open the second session. You'll see you have to click on the content here. You'll see the detailed agenda here along with the session recap and other details. There is a short brief about the upcoming session as well, which you can go through it. Then there are a couple of additional videos as well, which are just 2-3 minute short videos, which will help you in broadening your aspect toward these sessions. So let me click on the session 1, because a lot of you were not part of the session 1. So you can see the agenda is already there, and we have uploaded the recording of the your session 1, which some of you have missed. So you can quickly go through this. You have to simply click on this link, and the video will start streaming. So remember, guys, in order to get your completion, in order to get your certificate, you have to complete this session, and you have to at least complete it by more than 80% by attending all this online session. Then only you'll be eligible to get your certificates. Then there is a take action section as well, where you'll find different templates which were discussed during the session by Raj around the problem statement canvas, brainstorming activity template, customer persona template, conducting customer interviews. So you can download all these PPT and PDFs, and you can do the exercise. You can click here on the expand button if you want to see it in the as a full screen. That's also possible. Then you can click on this to collapse it. Then when you go to this more section, you'll find a chat option as well. So for example, if you want to reach out to any of the participants or to the host of this space, so you can reach out to them through this window. So you can see there is already a window opened up. So you can start chatting from here. When you click on the member page, you'll see all those members who are part of this space. That can be also seen from here. There are multiple filters like top, near you, newest, host, online now. You have to simply click on this filter and this will start showing in front of you.
All right. So thank you very much, Sudhanshu, for explaining us the wonderful platform that we have. And let me tell something to all the participants.
Sure.
This platform is actually an amazing opportunity for us to network with each other. An important part of being an entrepreneur is creating a network which you can rely upon at times. And that is what we are trying to do here at Vadhwani Foundation, creating a network for all of you. It's WEN can be thought of as Vadhwani Entrepreneurs Network. And I hope that you guys use it much more. And one more thing, there were a few questions which were asked, which I missed out on. I'm sorry about that. We had a time crunch today. But you can ask those questions on the community page, and then I'll ask Sir to answer those. And if you want to ask any questions to me also, that's also okay. You can ask me any questions. And if you want to interact with each other in any ways, then that's also great. So, yeah, I believe that's it. And we could end today's session. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming here, especially the ones who came for the first time and the ones who came again, second time, which is quite appreciated, which is honestly a compliment. So thank you very much. And thank you, Sudhanshu. Thank you, everyone from the Vadhwani Foundation. And I guess we can end today's session.